And good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another Friday Connect and Share. I'm Laurie Mode from Outdoors New South Wales and ACT, and slightly a bit weary after the week that was, but more on that in a minute. But we welcome everyone for another session. And I hope you're enjoying that beautiful photo we have there, which was a capture of last week, and the beautiful weather we had north of the border, just south of the Queensland border. I'd love to pay my respects to elders past and present, and may that we think about this as we head to the end of NAIDOC week, about really where we connect with our country and the past, so that we can have a brighter future. It's a good time to just think about what we're doing in our organisations, what we're doing individually, to really understand more about how this land has been so well cared for so long by our traditional owners, and how we can take that forth in our outdoor education, our recreation and our tourism opportunities. So let's just jump into what to know, and quite timely with NAIDOC week, that the First Nations Committee of Outdoors New South Wales and ACT wanted to combine some information so that you as the industry were well informed about the upcoming referendum. Now, we're providing obviously both sides of the story so you can make your informed choice on how you vote at the referendum. But we have links there for you that will provide you some good understanding on the yes vote versus the no vote, and what it means for the outdoor industry. So we'll continue to update that as more and more information comes to hand, which is certainly starting to seem like more information is coming. So you can have a look at that website there and get your links. So the summit last week, thank you to everyone on screen and those watching that attended our outdoor industry summit. It was a fabulous time, not only just the beautiful weather, but a chance to connect again and really have some great conversations around all things to do with the outdoors. The portal is now housed with lots of photos, lots of recordings. So if you want to look back on any of that, as an attendee, you know you have access to that portal. You can jump in. Now, also, the portal is available for those that did not attend, that really want to hear about some of those key discussions with landowners, with the Bureau of Meteorology, with the peak bodies, with the insurance sector. Whatever it is that you're interested in, you can now get access to that at a very reduced cost. So, and don't forget, if you're a member, you get even more reduced. So book that through your portal if you're a member, and you can get access to that. Or if you're not a member, you can certainly click on the link on the newsletter that was sent out last night. Okay, congratulations to all of the wonderful organisations that achieved a 10-year plus membership with Outdoors New South Wales and ACT. We gave those at the summit, and they're all listed on your screen there for you. An amazing list there of people that have been committed to their peak body and joining the voice for the outdoor industry for such a substantial amount of time. So a huge thank you from us and the board of Outdoors New South Wales for that. And of course, to the individuals. Now, these guys were recognised because of their outstanding active membership, because we have a program that tracks what you do and interact with. So attending things like today, as well as accessing our portal, opening our emails, and each time you do that, you get points. Now, we've only had this program up for just less than a year, and even though you might only get 1 point per email or a click through, these people have achieved over 300 points. So a huge achievement in making sure that they're in the know, understanding what's going on, able to apply that for their business, and making them a better business, basically, or a better organisation. And a huge shout out to the gentleman on screen who was the gold member, our first gold member, who achieved a 5-member referral to Outdoors New South Wales and ACT, as well as achieving his point score. So yes, I'm sure everyone's aspiring to be the next gold member, but you'll have to follow David Chitty as the first.
So Laurie, that's like 2 steps up from a gold lady, isn't it?
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I imagine Dave Chitty probably got about, you said 300 points was the cutoff. He probably only got about 3,000, did he?
You're just under.
Yeah. Well done, Dave.
Fabulous, thanks, Tom. And on Monday, we have a special webinar. It's brought to you by one of our amazing students who's finishing her degree with the University of New South Wales on an international exchange program. So she's actually from the United States of America, and true to her generation, is a lot more savvy with the social media inputs of today. So she's going to share not only the learnings from her course, and that's obviously the field that she's operating in, but also how she recommends from the research that she's done on what our industry needs to do when it comes to marketing in 2023. So you can certainly jump onto that. Just click on the link that was in your email. If you are unsure of that, jump on the website and it'll be there for you. Swimposium, God, that's a mouthful. Swimposium. This is put on by the Royal Lifesaving of New South Wales. It's going to be in Penrith at the log cabin for 2 days. I will be speaking at that event as well as many others, but it's all about frameworks and safety in inland waters. So if anyone is in that space where you want to understand a little bit more about what Royal Lifesaving is doing, good time to jump on and be part of that. It's actually free, so the registrations are on their website. Cruise in the Outdoors, our Maitland event, which you've heard a lot about on 26th of July. We do not have any more capacity to have any more program operators involved, which is great news. So yes, if you wanted to come along and you didn't register, apologies, you are now unable to. So I'm looking forward to that event. But you can participate in the Sydney Careers Expo. We still have a few spaces left for organisations that really want to tap into employees, getting more employees through their business. You can attend as the Outdoor Adventure Careers stand on the 8th and 9th of September. A reminder to everyone about the NatCore workshops too. The NatCore is the National Centre for Outdoor Risk and Readiness, based in the Outward Bound offices in Thawa, and they have a series of workshops right around the country, which is helping to build knowledge and skill around risk and incidents. So if you haven't registered and you're interested in doing so, that website link there will take you exactly to the space you need to register. Depending on the level you are, could be $250 or $350 for the workshop, but certainly looks like some great outcomes will be achieved from that. There's a series of conferences coming up. I will be at the Outdoors Victoria Conference next week. That's the 13th and 14th of July. The National Sports and Physical Activity Convention will be on the 27th and 28th in Melbourne. As I am at the Swimposium speaking, I was also going to be speaking at the National Sports and Physical Activity. I haven't worked out how to clone myself yet, so Amanda Lloyd is stepping in my role on my behalf at the National Sports and Physical Activity Convention. So it's great that we'll be at both events. And the Australian Camps Association Conference will be 20 to 22 September, and the AAEE National Conference will be 25 to 27 in Wollongong. Other events coming up. So our Connect and Shares. Well, today we're going to hear about the Open Space Charter, which is an initiative by the New South Wales Government. Next week, we're going to take a recap. For those that attended the summit, you might have attended the lunchtime special session, which was the wrap up of the camp research that we've been doing for over 2 years now. So we're going to share that in the Connect and Share on the 14th of July and get a real good conversation around those outcomes and how we can do better in getting more schools engaged in camp. And the 21st, we're going to be discussing ANZCO codes. It's up for review at the moment in the tourism sector, not necessarily all of our codes, but it's a great opportunity to have our say, because as we know, the ANZCO codes are really used by government in so many different ways to understand the size of an industry, the difficulties of an industry, visa holders, all of that is really from your ANZCO coding. And we have a huge issue in the fact that we cover 51 codes across the industry. So a good time to have our say. Let's hear from ABS on that one and see what we need to do to fix our issues with that one. 28th, Duke of Edinburgh are going to be talking about their employer partnership. So a good one for all the employers out there who want to get more engaged with Duke of Edinburgh and support that program. And on the 4th of August, I will give you a summary of the symposium. So other than that, we've already discussed the Maitland's Career Day and, of course, the symposium itself. Now, as of this week, we're launching a new membership level. This level is open to individuals only, and it is an affiliate membership. So that means that you won't have voting rights through to Outdoors New South Wales and ACT, but you will be able to be connected. You'll be able to be connected to several of the committees, including the Outdoor Leaders Committee and also the Outdoor Education Committee, to name a few. And it really provides you the insights that you need as an individual when working or wanting to work in the outdoors. So it's open to students as well. But the minimal fee allows you that access, and we want to make sure that we have a more connected, combined, more influencing level of industry. And by you becoming a part of that through this level of membership, enables our voice to grow a lot bigger. So very exciting to have that approved through the board and for release as of 1 July. The education program, a bit of discussion at the summit around this, as you all got a little notebook with this logo on it, and the Activity Safe Education program is certainly a great tool to help inform your staff, yourself, about all of the risks that happen with a business or an organisation in the outdoors. So it does cover more than just health and safety. It covers governance and ethics and all the different areas that your employees should know when you're navigating your own risk register. So this was done in partnership with Affinity Insurance. It will be free for all members to get access to, and the value of which is around $835. So a huge benefit to our members. We're just in the latter stages of testing some submissions, and once that's done, we'll be launching that right across the membership network. And the last one here is the sustainability scorecard. So courtesy of Destination New South Wales and Ecotourism, we have a new program that is free for any organisation to look at their sustainability score. Strive for Sustainability is around about a 4 to 8 hour commitment, and it will look at all of the different areas of your business and how you can do better in a sustainable environment. That's not just, again, environment, it is around your social aspects, your economic aspects. So a great opportunity considering it's free. And today we have Thomas and Lisa from the Department of Planning. Did I get that right? We haven't changed our name again, have we?
There are a few corrections, but
okay, then I'll leave it to you. So I'll hand over to Thomas. He'll take us through the charter for today. So thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Laurie, wonderful of you to invite us through. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully it works. Can you just confirm once I get onto the screen?
It's looking good.
Perfect. So look, I'm here today with Lisa. She's one of the managers who's leading up the New South Wales Public Spaces Charter. I'm currently acting director of Place and Public Life, but that's within Transport for New South Wales. So it is the New South Wales Public Spaces Charter. So public spaces being, covering public facilities, open spaces, and streets. So essentially anything that the public should be able to access freely. And, obviously open spaces are a huge component of that. And that's where we're finding a lot of alignments with your organisation and your members as well. So really thankful that you've invited us so that we can talk a little bit through it, and we'll have some time for questions and so forth at the end as well. But timely to have us here during NAIDOC week as well, because one of the core values of the Charter is the connection with country. So just wanted to acknowledge before we dive into the presentation that we are all meeting virtually on various lands across New South Wales and ACT. Lisa and I are here today on Gadigal land of the Eora Nation, and we wanted to pay respects to elders past, present, emerging, and the continuing connection to lands and waterways. And there is just so much more that we can learn and implement in all of the work that we're doing from all the different First Nations people in all of our projects. So we'll be running through a few different things. So I'm going to talk through a brief introduction about what we do so that we get a bit of context, and then talk through the New South Wales Public Spaces Charter, how it was developed and what it encompasses. Then I'll pass over through to Lisa to talk about all the different engagement that we've done across New South Wales over the past year, as well as talking about what it means to be a signatory and why we want people to be signatories, specifically organisations to be signatories to the Charter, to essentially get a commitment to embed all the visionary principles and core values that we've put into the Charter in everything that they do. And then, of course, at the end, there'll be the Q&A. So we wanted to understand and support Outdoors New South Wales and ACT and the members to see how we can better create public spaces. But in order to enable that, share the information that we have, which is the Charter, but also all of the other tools and equipment that we can provide to assist practitioners in making great public spaces. And of course, encourage organisations to sign up if you would feel equally inspired as we are by the document that we're presenting today. So a bit about us. We are within the Cities Revitalisation in Place branch, which is within broader transport. Now you may ask, why is it a transport and not a DPE? It started off a DPE, but transport with over 30,000 employees, there is huge precinct projects which are currently taking place in transport, and there is a huge active transport component and a placemaking component which is involved in all of the different projects. And that's where we've taken this project and the Charter and all of the work that we're doing with us through to transport to advocate for that and ensure that public spaces are included from the very inception of a project all the way through to the delivery and operation. So what we do generally from a very broad perspective is we focus on the revitalisation of cities, and whether that is, the metro cities, but also broadly regional and remote centres. But we do so mainly by looking at the policy aspect and see if we can have a bit of a soft approach where we can embed within all of the different policy documents across government, whether that is at state or local through signatories. We also advocate and make sure that the public space aspect is not lost in the conversation. And a lot of the projects that we do are trialling and testing to see what works and enable councils to test new ideas so that they can then become confident that they can implement these long-term in their areas to see how they can create better public spaces. And then obviously the last bit is making sure that the community is at the centre from the very beginning and then throughout the projects that we deliver. Broadly speaking, I mean, we've got a whole heap of different programs that we do, but again, typically the trial and testing. So, we've got the Places to Love program, which is a partnership program with councils, with streets and shared spaces. There's just a whole heap of them you can find on the website, but they're all generally just partnering with local council to test ideas and see how they can improve public spaces. But there are some really high level figures of where we've been able to provide impact across all of New South Wales, metro, regional and remote. And as part of that, I mean, we've had already quite a bit of an impact over the last few years through these projects. So going to the New South Wales Public Spaces Charter, it does align to transport. So I did sort of intimate that at the beginning, but transport does focus, specifically the future transport strategy focuses on creating thriving places. And that's creating that 15-minute neighbourhood. And this is where we fit in. We're making sure that within that 15-minute neighbourhood, there is a space which people can access, and those public spaces are suitable for the community. But of course, if we talk about the history of charters and history of public space, all of the land here has been under the custodianship of First Nations people for millennia. And there is so much to learn there. And I think there is also, in terms of just the charter perspective, there's always been a thought of how we can actually protect these open spaces in particular. So, it can date back as far as the Charter of the Forest in 1217 AD, where, we're advocating for the free access to the forest. And as part of the charter, we're anticipating that we want to have the same visionary approach to ensure that public spaces are great for the community. I think also what I'd like to mention as well is, during COVID, there was a vast shift in the appreciation of what public space actually is. And, our team did a COVID survey at the time, which you can also access the results from that online. But that showed us that there is a great need to make sure that these public spaces are the focus of large projects as well as the small ones. So, all the different large-scale city and region shaping infrastructure needs to plan this aspect from the get-go. And, we've been building tools as part of that to help support the practitioners. So what is the Charter? I mean, it is built up of 10 different principles, and these principles should be fairly self-evident. There is another slide which will have all of those listed out, but we usually find that a lot of the open space practitioners are already doing this, but it just unifies this into 10 principles, which ensures that every conversation with public space is in line with other organisations that are also dealing with public space. So I think at this point, there are a lot of documents out there which focus on public space, but our document in particular, the Charter, focuses on the people aspect. Because really, if you think about a public space, the most important part is the people and the public life aspect of that space. And that's what makes that happen, that place thrive. So that's part of what we've built into that. And the Charter, if you haven't had the chance to read it, there is also a statement of country which was put together by Dr. Daniel Romek. It's probably one of the most compelling pieces which has been put. It's a one-pager and it's a really great read. So this Charter can also just really be used by anyone. And we have also a draft practitioner's guide, which we have to support it and show how you can apply the principles as well. And it's any eligible organisation that is involved in public spaces, they can use the document, but are also encouraged to sign up to the Charter as well. So Lisa will cover that on when I pass over through to her a little bit later. In terms of how we got to where we are, I mean, we had several years of expert interviews. We engaged with ARIP as well. We had internal and external consultations as part of this. So there was a lot of research that was done, both one-on-one and broader research groups to get all this information together and bring it into a document which is rather quite concise. There's a principle per page, and it's not too onerous to read. So as part of that, I mean, once we got that all together, it went on public exhibition in September, October 2020, and got released in December 2021, at which point in June 2022, we started off with the signatory drive and also to start talking about how we can create a practitioner's guide and potentially also an easier version that is more accessible for the people of the neurodiverse community as well. So there are documents that we've been doing in the background, but it's all about making sure this charter is accessible to those who need to be involved and consulted, particularly when it comes to new public spaces projects. So I did allude to it initially, but these are the 10 principles and the 3 core values that underpin the charter. So, I mean, when you read through them, open and welcoming, community focused, culture and creativity, I'm not going to read through all of them, but they are all rather self-evident. And, you know, when you look through at a public space, that is great. You should be able to tick off all of these principles and core values. And a lot of the councils in particular, they already meet a lot of these, and it's just a reaffirmation that they're going in the right direction, and also are able to then, you know, make sure that, you know, if they're meeting 9 out of 10 principles, what can they do to make sure that all aspects of the charter are reflected in their public space. And that doesn't have to be immediate, but it's just a matter of making sure that an organisation goes on the journey to not only create great public spaces, but also improve the public spaces over time. And the last slide that I'm just going to touch on before I pass over through to Lisa is the charter is part of a continuum of documentation. And we've got the charter, we've got the draft Public Spaces Practitioners Guide, which is also accessible on the website, but we've also got the Great Public Spaces Toolkit. And that involves things like the evaluation tool, New South Wales Guide to Walkable Public Space, New South Wales Guide to Activation, New South Wales Smart Public Spaces Guide, the Great Public Spaces Guide. So there's tools, guides, and case studies, which are all publicly available. And I do encourage everyone here on the call and those people who might be viewing this recording a little bit later to go onto the website to go through and have a look at all the different tools that may make a bit of the implementation a bit easier. So I'm going to pass over through to Lisa to talk about some of the engagement that we've done over the past year.
Great, thank you, Thomas. And I also just want to thank Laurie as well for inviting us to speak at today's forum. It's really exciting that Outdoors NSW and ACT are signed up to the charter, and we're able to support each other in creating better quality public spaces and open spaces. So the New South Wales Public Spaces Charter team have been going across New South Wales holding in-person workshops over the past year. We're really reaching out to organisations working in the design and planning and delivery, management, activation of public spaces, and these include state government organisations, local councils, community groups, industry, and also peak bodies. I think it's really a point to make that everyone is welcome to use the charter. And whilst this is a New South Wales Public Spaces Charter, it's there to be used by anyone who has any influence or impact or working within public spaces, and all of those accompanying place evaluation tools are accessible from our website. So we really encourage organisations working in New South Wales in relation to public spaces to sign up and become a signatory. But of course, if you're outside of that area, if you're from ACT or Queensland, of course, welcome to sign up and be a supporter of the charter, and of course, use all of those resources and the charter itself. Just on to the next slide. Yeah, so at the moment we have over 42 signatories from across the private sector, state and local government. We really encourage organisations that create, care for and manage public spaces to sign up. If you're using the 10 principles, you're already doing most of the work, and what we really want to do is help New South Wales communities love the places that they live in. Of course, in the outdoors industry, you know, if you're promoting diversity and inclusiveness and equal opportunities for all, community values, and committed to respecting country. Like, this is a charter that is most definitely relevant to you as well. And I think let's go to the next slide. And just on some charter feedback from our workshops and community of practices, we have received some positive feedback on the charter and how it has helped organisations with their public space projects. So some key feedback areas have been that the charter is community focused, it supports design proposals to government and private stakeholders, it's a really good benchmark for open spaces and master planning for new developments. So why sign up to the charter? The benefits to signing up include acknowledgement on the New South Wales government website, where we will upload your organisation logo. There's promotional opportunities and data sharing. You'll also have access to our exclusive community of practice, which is held quarterly, where you're able to connect with like-minded organisations for networking, sharing case studies, looking at best practice and what's happening across the state, and also establish aims and track progress through yearly updates and get one-on-one support in applying the charter through your work. On to the next slide, please. So what are the steps to becoming a signatory? Just in the next slide, I have a QR code where you're able to just scan it. There's a really short application form to sign up to become a signatory, and within a week, we'll let you know the outcome. We will then send a charter check-in, which is a really short 10-question questionnaire just to see, you know, what sort of work your organisation does in terms of public spaces. And then once we receive that, we'll send you a partner pack with some resources and social media images and handles and such to promote it within your network. We'll invite you to our next community of practice, and you'll have that membership thereafter. You can invite as many people from your organisation as you'd like, and then we'll just check in every year on annual progress and feedback. If there's things that you'd like to see different in our engagement plan, or you know, if there's other resources that you'd like to see from the team, you know, we'd love to hear what we can do differently or do better. So that's the a link to the website where you'll be able to access the New South Wales Public Spaces Charter. You can also find the draft practitioner's guide and also the application link to become a signatory. Of course, if there's any questions, if there's any thing that wasn't clear, like, happy to answer any questions, but also feel free to send me an email. I'm really happy to see how I can assist and in the work that you do in public spaces.
Great, Lisa. Thank you so much. And thanks to Thomas as well. I think
that concludes the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yep, great. Thank you. I think the key thing is with the charter like this is where it touches our industry for everyone's knowledge of why I got involved. Certainly we want to see more active recreation taking part in a lot of the open spaces that currently exist. So I was really excited that you actually put that health and active, the activity in that charter. And you see a lot of spaces that are so underutilized, yet we're all trying to get people out and doing programs, and we can use public spaces to do that. The other aspect is the learnings of the charter for me really resonate with a lot of our guys have a lot of land that they operate their camps, their activities on, and just thinking about the principles of the charter can be applied to their own land and their own facilities, and that just creates, as you said, you know, that better social impact, that better connection, and it encourages people to get in there and utilize those spaces. So yeah, I just thought I'd frame it because people are probably going, what? How's this relevant to me? But it's incredibly relevant to our space. We have the public coming into our spaces all the time. So Dave, you had a question or a comment?
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to have a bit of a closer look at it, but it also, to me, looks like a good starting point for national parks, crown lands, whole range of other public lands across New South Wales, and perhaps eventually nationally, to have a charter, an access, environmental, a charter to make sure that we look after stuff. So this could be a really good start to greater things. We might have to have a bit of a plot about that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And
Thank
like
you for that.
yeah.
I think it's also really important to mention that although if your organisation, doesn't quite tick all of those 10 principles, that's totally fine as well. Even just doing one really well is commendable in itself. Whether your business is about improving, safety, or healthy and active communities, or well-managed environments, like that in itself is already embedding charter principles. And how do you go a step further as well to improve upon what you do and public spaces, and generating better social impact as well, as you say, Laurie. So yeah, that's also that to consider.
Now, I don't want to put you guys on the spot, but I have a question for you, and please, if anyone else has got questions, please let me know. But a couple of weeks ago on our Connect and Share, we had a PhD research on events and the difficulty of getting permission on public land. Quite comprehensive research over several years, and even now there are some of my operators that struggle with this. And I think the one thing that sparks to me when these things are raised is how many government departments have land. Like to Dave's point, it's not just state but federal, but even in our state, and those that are not in the business of social connection or economic benefit, we struggle at getting access to that land. Do you feel that this charter will impact other government agencies as well to enable those conversations to improve?
Great question, Laurie. Look, I think from our perspective, we're trying to get all state agencies that are involved with that have public space in their portfolio to get signed up to the charter. But of course, as you may be aware, some of these organisations are holding onto land for a different purpose, and maybe it is that meanwhile or temporary use of that land which may be quite difficult to use. So look, I mean, the charter itself is it is a visionary document, so it's not going to really make a definite change through regulation, but it does make the change in a shift of thinking by ensuring that anyone who does sign up commits to thinking about how they can apply it, whether that is to their existing land and through the temporary use potentially as well. So really, I mean, as part of what we're doing, it is a soft touch, and it is about all these organisations taking it upon themselves. Yeah. So I'd love to say, yes, it's going to make a huge change, but I think through the approach that we're having, it is going to be gradual. And it's about shifting that thinking collectively through the sector to make sure that we are focusing on public space in everything that we do.
I mean, all shifts are gradual and take years. But if we could get some of these other agencies, or more importantly, the people in them, to at least get a feel for this concept, over time, I think the actual regulations and laws would change as well, because it's people that make change at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The only thing that the only thing I'd add to that before we jump to Dom is I feel sometimes regulation is something which is a little bit too blunt. And I think the way that we've been approaching it just softly is making sure that people are the drivers of the change. So, you know, it's still something we're testing, but hopefully it is heading in the right direction. Sorry, Tom, I stopped you from asking a question.
It's a great point. I think, yeah, it's a really good point. I was just going to say, one of the key challenges I think we face across the country, and, you know, it's the same everywhere, is outdoor activities tend to be a secondary purpose of the land that's out there, of the public land. It's generally held for conservation or forestry or resources, etc. It doesn't, not a lot of our land is actually held by government for recreation purposes. And that's a challenge for us, because often we become a secondary consideration in that space. And I think that's where elevating it through your principles and saying this is an important part of public land management and the charter, I think, you know, that's a great piece of work to say those different values of that public land are all important. Sometimes they can be seen as being in competition, but if you can get that balance right, it's doing the right thing for the entire community. And I think that's an important part of it. So yeah, well done on that.
Thanks, Dom.
Absolutely, completely agree. Did anyone have any other comments or questions they wanted to ask, or even just thinking about your own spaces? Does it help you in understanding what you can do? Dave?
Well, I'm going to be pushing that down here in Mexico in lots of areas. So.
Dave operates across borders, but he lives in Victoria. So, you know. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there is certainly some government departments that, you know, we will remain nameless for the causes of today, but really struggle at that balance, as Dom said, about accessing or allowing access to those that are not there for the primary purpose. Yet we know that what we provide is not only just the active recreation, but by allowing access to our industry, we're educating on why these places need to be looked after. And that is a significant thing that we keep, you know, working with National Parks and Wildlife on. And, you know, to their credit, they have opened up the wilderness areas only for commercial operators, because they know that we will go in there. We treat that place with total respect, and we're educating people, more people, on why it has to be kept the way it is. So, but no, great work, guys. Thank you so much for presenting that. You can see why we've put our name to it, and yeah, anything we can do to support this. And for those listening to the recording, as Lisa said, if you're interested in jumping on board, you can scan that QR code. Thomas, can I ask, can we share the PowerPoint as well with our members?
Yeah, we'll provide you with a PDF version if Lisa hasn't provided it already. But yeah, look, just to echo what you said, Laurie, please reach out to the team, whether it's yourself or anyone who's listening to the call. We're very happy to have a conversation and see, you know, how we can best assist you. And look, thanks again for inviting us. It's clear that, you know, our hearts are all in the right place, and we're all, you know, sort of going in the same direction. So I think we should definitely, you know, go on this journey together.
Yep, absolutely. Completely agree. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. We'll let you go. And what we normally do is close the recording, but open up for our usual chit chat on what's going on around the grounds, in case anyone wants to ask any questions or pose any challenges that they're facing. Thank you again for joining. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.